Hi, I'm Amber Finch of Finch Real Estate Company. Thank you so much for joining us today. And with us is Mr. John Bolton of Inspectagator. I actually have been, I don't know, let's see. I've been working alongside Mr. Bolton for, I don't know, probably from the beginning, I believe, probably about 10 years or so. You've been doing inspections with me. So I've been in the business for 11 years, and I think you were one of
Right.
the first inspectors that I was working with and referring to customers. So, yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Bobby Lynn Bolton is also on as what is his wife and business development manager. I don't know if that's her specific title or not, but she does a lot with us as realtors, keeping us all happy. So, but John, I just wanted to bring you on to introduce you to people because obviously they see you behind the inspector outfit and don't really get to learn much about you, and also don't get to learn much about the inspection process. So I have some questions lined up for you today, but I'll be watching the chat and Facebook Live
Awesome.
for any other comments and things like that that's going on. So thank you so much for joining us. We do appreciate your time and
Man, thank you. I love these things. And happy Friday.
thanks. You too. All right. So how'd you get started in the inspection business? What drew you to it?
You know, I guess I got to blame my dad for that one. I'd gotten laid off from a construction superintendent job in 1990, I believe it was. And my dad's a GC. He was a real estate broker. He was a lot of stuff. And he kept telling me, he says, you ought to get into this home inspection thing. And I was like, man, I am sick and tired of the construction stuff. I didn't want to have anything to do with it. And he talked me into it. And back then, do you remember those big, thick books they used to drop off at your front door? They were called a phone book. Do you remember those things?
Yeah, I still get one occasionally and it just goes in the recycling bin.
Right, isn't that funny? So I opened one of those things up, and they were like, back then, they were like 2 pages total of inspectors. And now that there's over 13,000 across the state now. But anyway, opened up the phone book. I saw those some of these ads, and I started with the very first one and called them and said, hey, I'm interested in getting into home inspections. And of course it was AAA, All American. That's how you got to the top of the list back then. This is pre-SEO stuff, right? And the guy says, yeah, come on out. I could use some help. That'd be great. And that's how I got started, and was with him for a couple of years before starting our own company. And then it was just me by myself crawling through the attic, answering the phone and all that. And eventually, funny story, we were on an inspection in Mount Dora, and this guy he's knocking this wall down and knocking that wall down and doing this and that, and his architect's coming and his contractor's coming and all that. And his contractor was one of my good buddies, Ronnie. And Ron Hamble and I graduated building construction together at Florida, and I hadn't seen him since we were, clinking beers, saying have a nice life at graduation. And all of a sudden, Ronnie is this guy's contractor. And he looks at me and he says, man, I can't stand this stuff. I hate this. I want to do what you do. I'm like, oh my God, really? And that's when the ball really started rolling. It was Ronnie and I for a while, and then we just kept adding people. And that's a short Reader's Digest version of my life, anyway.
And so, how long have you been doing inspections since then?
22 years.
Wow.
And 20 as the Inspectagator. This year's our 20th as the Inspectagator. We got a cool new logo and everything. It's kind of exciting, even though we're all
exciting.
in our houses. But
wow. Do you know about how many houses you've inspected under Inspectagator in that 20 years? Maybe that's a number you need to get.
I know, nobody ever told me in the beginning to count, and I never did. And we've changed softwares and different providers and stuff. So I couldn't give an absolute perfect number, but it's, well over 10,000 combined. Oh, goodness. I mean, we'd be 60, 70,000 home inspections.
Wow. That's amazing. So you guys have a lot of,
Right,
and I mean,
that's a lot.
I don't know how many rooftops there are in Central Florida. I guess I probably should know that number myself, but I mean, if you've done 60, 70,000 rooftops in the area, which I know you've doubled up on some of the homes that have been bought and sold multiple times, but
Right.
probably done a big chunk of them in the area. So we have a lot of experience with our local market. So for those that don't really know about Inspectagator or what a home inspection is or entails, can you tell me what type of services are involved with an inspection, and then what you guys also offer on top of that?
I mean, obviously we've got a full home inspection. We also do a more limited, price friendly, what we call an express. It doesn't include all the stuff in the full, but sometimes you'll get somebody, look, they know the appliances are going and they don't care if they work or not. So we can exclude things like that and make it a little bit more price friendly and faster. But we are very, very diverse. We've got electronic pool leak detection. We have dye testing in pools. We've got advanced pool bond testing and ESD, electric shock drowning inspections we do, sewer scope, sewer pipe scoping we do, water and mold investigations. We do infrared. Matter of fact, every inspector is at a minimum a certified residential thermographer. We do mold testing for structures and cars. We do sanitization of structures and cars. We have advanced mechanical inspections. We'll do second opinions. For landlords, we do tenant move in, move out. We even do divorce inspections. We do the pre-listing, new construction, aerial photography. Of course, the expected wind minute 4-point. We have a lot of stuff on our plate.
Wow. Yeah, you do. But that's one thing I like about you guys is that you're like a one-stop shop almost, that you offer so many things that it's not like they have to go off and get yet another a mold company for doing a mold test or something like that. If they have extra concerns, they can really address them with you. You guys have the knowledge. So what's your day-to-day, what's your favorite part of your job?
The funny part is it used to be the debriefing when we would go over the report at the end with the client. I've been out of the field since January, so I don't get to do that stuff anymore. So now it's the creation stuff and the education stuff. I work on developing new programs and business stuff with the company, and we have a school as well. So that keeps us quite busy. That's a lot of fun. Those are my favorite things. Creation, if you will.
Well, good. Well, I'm kind of glad that you're repositioning yourself as a leader in your company, but then also still having some enjoyment of, educating and things like, because I think that's what you loved about having your debriefing with the customer is that you were really educating them on the home that they were trying to buy, right? You were educating them on the maintenance that was needed. I learned a ton of stuff just by attending my home inspection summaries with you because you would teach me what to look for when we're out shopping for houses and things like that. So that way, I can start kind of educating buyers as we go along too. So that I thank you for that. And that's some of the information I want to try to pass along today. If we can kind of, pinpoint on those hot spots and those things that we should be paying attention to as home buyers, as home sellers, or as homeowners in general. So hopefully this will kind of go from there. But so I want to start off first in the perspective of a home buyer, right? Because everybody only thinks that home inspectors are really special for home buyers. And yes, that's usually your original client, but you said obviously there's landlords and divorce situations and other situations where you guys are being hired for as well. But for the most part, the bulk of your customer base is home buyers. But I know that there's a lot of valuable information that we'll address in a little bit to a regular homeowner or somebody thinking about selling homes that we can kind of bridge into how they can help, how they can, or if they can learn something to help them with their home. So basic, super simple question. If I'm a home buyer today, why should I get a home inspection on the home I'm purchasing?
A basic, super simple answer, because once you close, you own everything, the good things, the bad things, the damages, the stuff that's at the end of its life, the stuff in the attic that you didn't crawl through, everything, you own it all. So really, you can spend your money today on a home inspection, or spend it later, one way or the other, to pay to fix things, and things that die along the way. So with an inspection, you still have a risk, but you're still going to have the failures and losses and that kind of thing, but you can manage, right? And you can typically reduce those risks dramatically, either by negotiating it or budgeting for, expected expenditures. So, there's no deal whether it's a new house, an old house, that they all come with risk. It's just how you manage that risk, and the home inspection fills that niche perfectly.
Yeah, I would agree. A lot of my buyers look at their home inspection as kind of like a peace of mind of knowing what they're purchasing, because at least you're giving insight into the majority of the unknowns. Obviously, you guys cannot see 100% of the home and predict everything that's going to happen and occur, but you can try to do a snapshot of what the home's condition is at that point in time. And I think it helps them either give them a honey-do list, or it points out to them the major points that are important to say, hey, is this something that's going to make me not want to buy the house? Do I move on? Is this going to be a money pit? Or is this something that maybe we can ask the seller to negotiate with, and try to work from there? But yeah. What about new construction homes? I get the question all the time, hey, this house was just built. Do I really need a home inspection? Or it's only 5 years old. Like, what could go wrong? What's wrong with it? These newer build homes, or brand new homes, do we need a home inspection for those?
More than ever, really. We've got there's a construction boom, without a doubt. Everywhere you look, there's new stuff going up. And you remember, you've probably seen some of those issues back in the last boom. Was that 05, 06, 07, right before the crash, when so much stuff was being built so fast? With a home that's already been built, something that's already been completed, it's a lot of performance based. You flip the light switch and does the light bulb come on? Yes, that's pretty easy. During construction, it's all code. It's building code. So just know that just because the building department inspects it and you get inspections passed and you get a certificate of occupancy and all that, this does not mean that the house is code compliant. But yeah, swallow that one for a second, right? All the whole process, this is just a means of governing the building process, by issuing homeowners and contractors the minimum requirements of construction in our state it's an approval of submitted documents is all that is. So if your home, your home or your repairs, your alterations were permitted, inspected, and approved, this does not mean that everything was installed correctly. It doesn't mean that it complies with the Florida Building Code. So, Amber, there are actually very few home inspectors qualified to do new construction. If you can't read blueprints, if you can't read truss packages, and you're not able to inspect and confirm gravity loads, uplift loads, bearing points, that kind of thing, you really shouldn't be doing the new construction stuff. In our new construction, we have 2 guys that are licensed contractors and code experts that do all our pre-drywall inspections.
Nice. Good. So they're actually going and reading the blueprints from the builders and making sure that it's done to the specifications there. That's good.
Yeah, absolutely. We had one. This is $1.5 million house down in Lake Nona, and Jeff found like some significant major structural issues they had to bring a structural engineer in to solve prior to moving on. And if you didn't know what you were doing, you could not spot these things. You have to be able to know how to read trust documents and those kind of things to find these. So that was pretty huge.
Yeah, and that probably could have been if they didn't do that inspection with you. I assume that was pre-drywall inspection. Then they would have probably just moved forward, built the house. Homeowners would have moved in, and then would have realized settlement issues later on. and then have even a bigger bill to figure it out. And then it might have been on the homeowner rather than the builder at that point, if depending on the warranty situation.
Yeah. Oh, it would have totally been on well, I don't know. You might be able to call them latent defects, but you got to get an attorney to,
Yeah.
which is not cheap. That gets expensive.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So, in a new construction situation, when a homeowner is building the home, you're talking about that you can actually inspect at multiple points through the process. So, like pre-drywall, and then after everything is up. So, but basically, that you would probably want as a home buyer doing a new construction, maybe 2 inspections, right? Because you're for you. Why would somebody do a pre-drywall and then want to do one afterwards?
The pre-drywall is the most critical, because that's when you can see all the rough things, rough electrical, rough mechanical, of course, all the framing, and it takes a long time. This is not fast. This is like that $1.4 million one. That was all day long. 2 guys all day long going through that thing. It takes a while to be able to read there's a ton of notes. That's the most critical one. Like if your hands were tied, I could only afford one, building a house, the pre-drywall. Obviously, the next one would, be one at the end, and the performance based. If you can do a pre-slab, that's great too. Those are a little quicker because there's the quantity of stuff. There's just not that much there. But you've got to be able to, again, read prints, make sure the right size rebar is in the hole, that the uprights are tied in the right positions, chases are installed, that the chemicals have been laid, that the sewer lines have been properly pressure tested. And there's a lot of things that go into this. It's not just walking on site and saying, yeah, it looks good.
Yeah. And this would be for even somebody building like a tract home with a builder, for a $400,000 house, not just the 1.4 million custom built homes, right? These are for people too that are buying, a tract home build. Because I think a lot of, especially the new construction salespeople in there, will tell them, oh, you don't need an inspection. We're getting it inspected by the, the county and stuff like that. Like you said, making sure it's up to code. We have our certain standards. And then if we happen to make a mistake or something like that, there's a warranty in place. So we would come back and fix it. That's how they kind of make these home buyers believe that it's not necessary. But for their own protection, to make sure that it gets done, it's really important that they know that they can have someone like you or your team go out there and check over the build. So appreciate that.
You got it.
So if a resale, so a home that's a little bit older or something like that someone's buying, what are some of the major issues that you've been seeing in Central Florida that a home buyer should probably maybe educate themselves on when they're out there on their home search, so that they can kind of pay attention to those things, just to kind of foreshadow?
Great question, and easy answer is water. Water is always a concern. You have sellers and banks that can conceal water intrusion, mold, other damages caused by. So as inspectors, we've got to be familiar with building science, identifying potential intrusion and damage areas, know construction details, know how to use infrared. And there's also a huge difference between an infrared app and a $10,000 infrared camera. Those that buy cheap tools and education typically produce cheap results, but because the technology has gotten better and cameras have gotten less expensive, more and more inspectors are using them, and that's great. Now the consumer just needs to know that at a minimum standard, I'd get somebody that's a certified residential thermographer. There's other higher standards, but at a minimum, I would do that, because without not knowing how to use it, it's just a bunch of pretty colors. And just because it's blue doesn't mean that it's wet. you got to know how to use the thing.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. Now, so a home buyer obviously is getting a home inspection to learn about what's wrong with a house. And there's a lot of what if scenarios if they move in and something else continues to break and stuff like that. Obviously, you couldn't have predicted that. What is something that a home buyer can do if they're purchasing a home to further protect themselves? moving forward with their home purchase? Because obviously they can't come back to you every single time that there's something wrong, and blame you for not catching it. So what can they do?
Another awesome question. And because no inspector is perfect and absolutely everything in a house will fail eventually. So your best bet is to get a home warranty. And now a home warranty is not insurance either. It's a warranty designed to fix things that fail, not buy you new stuff. The warranty we recommend is the country's only 18-month warranty. It's from RWS, Residential Warranty Services. There's no other warranty. No other warranty covers as much stuff as RWS's does. If you've got a larger house that has more than one AC, more than one water heater, there's no extra charges. You can hire your own contractor if you want. We've had people that they don't want to have the thing fixed. They want to get new stuff. That's fine. Take the cash. The cash equivalent of repairing it. Now, on all of our full home inspections, we give away several limited warranties. Things that they cover things like appliances, underground water and sewer lines. We've got a 5-year roof leak repair warranty, a full 1-year structural warranty. And if the client wants to purchase a full warranty on top of that, then there's no deductible in the first 90 days. So it's pretty cool. So, in short, home warranties. Right? If you don't want to deal with it, you don't have a landlord to call anymore. It's everything you look at needs to be fixed at some point.
Exactly. I mean, I think that's a shock to first-time home buyers or first-time home owners, is that once they own it, they don't have anybody else to call except the person that is going to fix it, right? So the plumber or the electrician or the contractor or whoever it is that they're calling for an emergency. Or a home warranty, at least that 1 or 18-year, service, which could be extended on, could provide them with that level of, okay, if I have an issue, I can call them first, and my cost may be at least capped to that trade fee if that will be covered underneath the home warranty service. So I think it's great that you guys offer that and educate the buyer that it's a good idea to do that and continue on from there. So talking about becoming a homeowner, I think a lot of issues end up developing because of lack of maintenance or deferred maintenance on a home. And I think that you taught me that basically. So I think as a homeowner, what are some things that you catch as an inspector that could have probably been mitigated, or maybe they're the little things that are adding up on a home inspection that could make their home be better in general, and then the home inspection when they're trying to sell come out a little bit better. So what are the type of little maintenance items you would suggest to people?
Changing filters and having the AC cleaned and serviced, all that stuff is awesome. Keep an eye underneath your sink because leaks happen. It's nobody's fault. We've had 2 of them in our house, and we use everything regularly. It's just one day it happens. Cleaning your dryer vent is a really good one. You can purchase that device at Home Depot for like $20 and do it yourself if you don't want to call somebody. But there's companies that can do those. Maintaining your gutters is a big one. My biggest pet peeve is maintaining that exterior envelope. The better you caulk, seal, and paint, the better the house performs, right? What I could also add is, from our perspective, I don't necessarily like to see somebody that goes and fixes a lot of stuff and paints a lot of stuff right before we get there. Because then you're like, well, I don't know what it looks like, and does it conceal something? I don't know. It takes a little longer. So I kind of prefer to see it as is and how it has been, right? Because if you know how it's been performing, it's easier to predict how it's going to continue to perform, or things that are at the end of their life, that kind of thing. So there's a lot of little simple things you can do, but I don't go overboard. Leave it the way it is so it's better for it. We can make a better judgment that way, when things are left alone. But yeah, please clean your filter and the wasp nest. That's a good one.
And I think
we run into a lot of those wasp.
your suggestion in regards to leaving it alone means if they're going to be putting the house on the market, they obviously don't try to just fix these things right before you put it on the market, because it's harder for you as an inspector to determine maybe what the cause would have been. But if you're a homeowner and planning to live there for a couple of years, obviously you would want to fix it and do it the right way and things like that. So
Yeah, sure.
one thing that I thought of that I always, you always used to joke about was making sure your irrigation is not hitting your house because you're not watering your house to make it grow, right? So, um,
You
so
remember that? That's
yeah,
funny.
I'm sure there's a lot of little John isms that I remember as I talk to people. But yeah, so I mean, that's just something you can do. Watch your irrigation. Spraying it on your house is not helping your house. It's actually hurting it and possibly causing water intrusion into your home, which then goes to your major thing buyers should be looking out for, is any type of water intrusion into the home, and could easily be caused from a sprinkler hitting the side of your house. So yeah, but important stuff.
Yeah, amen.
Yeah. So if I'm a seller trying to get my house ready for sale, and I have all of these things or these issues that I may or may not know about, do I consider getting a pre-inspection to give to the buyer and tell them to show them all the maintenance items? So what do you think, John?
I think it's a great idea. You know, nothing's 100% effective, but obtaining a pre-inspection actually, you know, it puts the seller in control of negotiations. If you know at least, you know, the major things that are wrong prior to the sale, now you have time to do your own research, interview repair professionals, obtain bids, and you know how much stuff is going to cost. You know, then you can either build that into your price or make repairs, the ones that you want to make repairs on. The ones you don't, you just say, you know, as it is, right? It is what it is. Then if you fix something, you can always provide the report. You can provide receipts saying, yeah, we found out this was broken, we fixed it, and ABC XYZ company took care of it. Here's the receipt. So you can pass that on to the buyer. You know, as opposed, the opposite is coming down to the wire and having a bunch of repair demands that you didn't expect by the new buyer, and being forced to scramble and panic trying to get the deal closed at the last minute. That kind of sucks. Something that's really cool in our pre-inspection program is that they can offer the home, not only with the pre-inspection of the report, decide what you want to do, what you don't want to do, but offer it with the 5-year roof leak repair warranty and an 18-month warranty, a 1.5-year warranty. What is also cool is that warranty, there's no money out of pocket. It's billed to closing. So like, wow, how cool is that? A pre-inspection with warranties, that makes your house a whole lot more attractive to buyers.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it definitely gives them that peace of mind of knowing what they're buying up front. And I would say, you know, as a realtor, we hear, and I know, John, you hear it too, right? There's rumors of people frowning upon home inspectors, and some of them get reputations of being too thorough and, you know, exaggerating things and stuff like that. I would say that I lean on Inspectagator to tell my buyers the truth. And if I was a seller and I was going to get a pre-inspection, I would still want them to use Inspectagators because they are very thorough, but they will provide everything that someone needs to know, right? So if a buyer does choose to get their own home inspection again later with a different inspection company, they're likely to not find more things, right? So if we got a fly-by-night pre-inspection done by the seller, right, and it was just a very not as thorough inspection report, then likely it's not going to do the same thing, because if a buyer still gets their own home inspection and that home and buyer uses Inspectagator, they're going to find a laundry list of other things that maybe that first inspector didn't find. So I would trust that you guys would do a good job, and that's why I still have you on my recommendation list to my clients, is because I know when you guys do it, you are the most thorough as possible. So thank you very much for all of that.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
You know, we try to, if we ever think anything is wrong, broke, doesn't work, we try to always back that up with an ASTM standard, a building code, a manufacturer's installation instructions, something, so it's not our opinion.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's what's really different about you guys is you're very educated. And you really, like, I really don't ever hear you say something that isn't backed up with some type of factual thing. Where I have experienced the exaggerating inspectors, I call them alarmists, where they go out and they just provide opinion, and don't back it up with any facts and say, here, look, this information, you can go do the research on your own and make your own decision. We're just providing the facts here of what we've found. And the alarmist type of inspectors to me are the ones that I think don't do a service to their customers because they're I had one guy that was basically giving opinions about the home's cosmetic stuff, and it's like, okay, well, the cosmetic stuff doesn't matter, right? It's yeah, there might be an issue with the baseboard because there's water damage, but so tell us about the water damage, not that everything else in the house is falling apart just because it doesn't look good. Tell us why. So I don't know, other things like that. Anyways, I could go on a rant.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you brought that up because there was one thing I totally forgot about. If we were to do a pre-inspection and a buyer came in and found something that we missed and it held up the sale, if it was directly inspection related, okay, not financing or anything like that, that the warranty company will cover the seller's mortgage. I think it's up to $5,000 for 3 months, for a total of $15,000.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so don't be afraid.
Wow. Oh, I'm not afraid, but nobody else should be either. So, so we're in this coronavirus situation right now. Obviously, the information that you're providing, that you have provided, is useful any time of the year for any home buyer and home seller. But what are some changes that you've been seeing in your business regarding the coronavirus situation, and have you guys been dealing with it?
Another awesome question. Obviously, in order to observe all the mandated safety and health regulations, all that stuff, we wear the masks, we wear the gloves. We always request that the house be vacated. If it can't, we understand. We've had babies involved and elderly and that kind of thing. But if you can at least self-isolate in a room, or let us go do that room first, do what we can in there, self-isolate to there, and try to maintain distancing and all that stuff, because we are back and forth all over the place. So if somebody's trying to self-isolate in the family room, it makes it a little difficult because we're all over the place in there. But because we are a licensed mold assessor, a licensed mold remediator, a certified ozone technician, and a certified biocide applicator, we offer sanitization services. We use ozone generators and natural products for fogging. We can do structures, cars. It completely inactivates or kills bacteria, fungal growth, germs, viruses, all kinds of stuff. And what we're using, these technologies, these products leave no chemical residues. So as a seller, if you're having home showings and all these strange people coming in and out, I think it'd be a great idea to do a sanitization afterwards. Or if you're a new home buyer, now you're buying this house that these people have lived in, you don't know what it's like. You could hire a professional janitorial service or something like that. But even those are going to be expensive, and there's no way that they can touch every square inch. So when we use things like ozone and fogging, ozone is a gas, so it permeates everywhere. The fogging is extremely fine mist, so it floats in the air, and these things are great air purification technologies, as well as all this stuff will settle, so it also kills things on the surface. So the sanitization is real affordable, fast, effective, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I'm real excited about this business.
Okay, so this is separate from your home inspection stuff, right? So this is kind of a a separate service that you guys are providing. It's not something that you do during an inspection, correct? I just want to make sure we're clear.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. So, but I get that. That's really cool that it's a product that you guys offer and a service that is probably going to be needed very soon, if not right now, especially if someone knows that, they've been through the corona. So let's just say if I had a household member that I've had isolated in a room with coronavirus that I know for sure tested positive for it. And now, I needed some type of sanitation service. I would lean towards something like this to, basically to clean out the whole entire house. And then still maybe lean on a janitorial or house cleaning service right after that. But at least this would, knock out the virus in any type of airborne type of situation or all the surfaces and things like that. So that's pretty cool.
Right. Big time peace of mind, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And hey, would that be the coolest closing gift ever? An agent to a buyer?
Possibly.
Hey, well, have your house sanitized, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I guess it would for sure, but then they would have, I don't know. There's a lot of what if type of things of people's different perspectives and things. But I think if I was somebody overly concerned about it, for sure, I would want to make sure that would get done. But anything else to add, John, that we didn't touch on that you wanted to tell us about?
I tell you what, because you've been so kind, we'll come do your house for free.
What?
Is that cool?
That would be pretty cool. I mean, I'm open to it first.
Awesome.
Sure. We'll check it out. We'll do a video on it. People can see what it is. All right, cool. So,
beautiful.
Bobby Lynn, do you have any questions? I know you were chatting. Do you have anything that you wanted to add?
No, I don't think so. I think you guys were pretty thorough. I've been chatting, helping add my my thoughts on some of these things. But no, we appreciate you and the opportunity to explain a little bit about what inspections are all about, and do you really need them, especially the part with the new construction. It's booming out there right now. And the other thing, there's so much new construction out there, they're whipping this stuff out and taking shortcuts, and it doesn't mean that because you get a CO that it's done right. So it's always good to get it. Even when we built our own house, we had someone inspect it. You just can't, and we didn't do it. We had another person with a contractor's license do it, because and we found stuff. I mean, even if it's a good builder, stuff happens. They hire contractors. So I appreciated that part, especially on here.
Yeah. Well, good. Well, I'm glad that you thought that was a good topic that we touched on. So I just checked on Facebook comments. We had a hello from my sister, who's a realtor in Dallas, Texas, Tiffany Hodge. So hi, Tiffany. And then Nicole George.
Tiffany.
Nicole George is one of our past clients. She says, we love the Inspectagator. They actually used you twice because they bought a house with me a few years ago and used Inspectagator. And then when they just bought a house again this year, they were like, we're using the same inspector we used last time. We have to. So they use you guys again. So
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mr. Cole.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. I really do appreciate it. And it was a pleasure interviewing you and getting some more insight, and hopefully everybody found some value. But I want you to...
And congratulations.
Here. They were like, oh, thank you.
And congratulations on your new business.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thanks so much. Well, I